All right, well, first, just want to introduce myself. My name is Donald O'Geen. It's O apostrophe capital G-E-E-N. I'm the Wyoming County District Attorney, and I'll have the sheriff and undersheriff introduce themselves.
My name is Sheriff Gregory Rudolph, G-R-E-G-O-R-Y, Rudolph, R-U-D-O-L-P-H.
My name's David Linder, L-I-N-D-E-R. I'm Wyoming County Undersheriff.
All right. Thank you all for coming this morning. I know there's been a lot of questions as the news kind of broke last night. So I'm just going to give you some basics. We're not going to give you a lot today, as you, I'm sure, based on your experience, you know, we're not really allowed to speak to a lot of the details. So I just want to give you the basics. Yesterday, on Wednesday, March 7th, 2018, Joseph Mylniec, it's M-L-Y-N-I-E-C, age 60, of 2468 Route 246 in the town of Perry, was charged with murder in the second degree for the intentional death of Robert Irvine III. He's 32 years of age, and he's also resided in Perry. This charge stems from an alleged incident that occurred on or about March 7, 2018, in the town of Perry at the defendant's residence. It is alleged that Mr. Mylniec intentionally shot and killed Mr. Irvine. At approximately 5:42 p.m. yesterday on March 7th, a 911 call was made by Mr. Mylniec to the 911 center, alerting the authorities to the incident. At that point, members of the Wyoming County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene, and upon arriving and surveying the scene, Mr. Mylniec was taken into custody without incident. Last night around 10:30, after the initial investigation, the defendant was arraigned in the Wyoming County Courthouse by the Honorable Michael Mohun, who is typically his job as a county court judge, but in this capacity he was sitting as a local town judge, which he's able to do for the purposes of arraignment and setting bail. The defendant was held without bail, and that's as required by the statute based upon the charge of murder in the second degree. He is now scheduled to appear in the Warsaw Town Court on March 12, 2018 at approximately 5 p.m. Just as a side note, the reason why Warsaw and not Perry is for two reasons. Any felony can be filed in any town court in the county in which the charge happens. So oftentimes we do that in cases such as this. But as a second component, the town of Perry judge knows Mr. Mylniec and has recused himself, so it just seemed obvious to handle it in Perry. Just also want to note that the fact that Mr. Mylniec has been charged with a crime is merely an accusation, and the defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty. This time I'm going to turn it over to the sheriff to discuss a little bit about Mr. Mylniec and his role as a former deputy sheriff.
Joseph Mylniec retired as a patrol sergeant from the sheriff's office in 2008 after a 20-plus year career. He was rehired on a part-time basis as a deputy sheriff in 2009, and then he resigned in 2013 and hasn't had an affiliation with the office since 2013.
I know there was at least one reporter who had asked about whether or not we felt there was a potential conflict of interest, being that he had worked for the Sheriff's Department. That was discussed with myself and my assistant and the sheriff immediately as this came to light, and we feel very comfortable in the fact that he's been now not working for the sheriff for at least 5 years, and the nature of the circumstances of the case, that we're very comfortable in handling this case without any conflict of interest. Other than that, is there any questions that we may be able to answer at this time?
What can you tell us about the circumstances surrounding the relationship between the two men?
What we know is that they are acquaintances. I mean, they're not strangers to each other, but I know the investigators are out today and days ahead to learn more about that relationship.
When he was taken into custody, did he say anything about what happened?
We can't comment on anything that the defendant had said, may have said, or not have said. Okay, it's unethical for us to do so.
Did he give a statement?
Again, I can't say whether or not he said anything to the police.
Can you at least mention if he's being cooperative with you guys at all?
Sheriff, if you want to answer.
Yeah,
that.
he is being cooperative, and he has sought legal counsel.
Were there any other people at the home at the time of the shooting?
Not that we're aware of. But again, you know, this case is less than 12 hours old. Well, it's more than 12 hours, less than 24 hours old. And we have a lot of resources still working the scene and going out and interviewing witnesses. So this investigation is still wide open, and we're going to continue that way.
Where was Robert Irvine shot? You said?
Until we get the medical examiner's report, it would be unfair to speculate at this time.
On the property, though, that's a pretty expansive piece of property. Can you tell us where?
Are you
the
asking
actual
where,
shooting happened?
is she asking where was he shot on the property, or where was he shot on his person, on the property, in the driveway?
What kind of weapon was used?
It was a handgun?
It was a handgun.
Did the defendant own?
We're still looking into that, but we believe so.
He's a
What brought the
registered
victim
pistol.
to the property?
You both were talking at the same
What
time.
brought the victim to the property?
I don't know if we know that at this time. And your question was?
He's a registered pistol permit holder because of his position, formal
He-
position?
He's to our knowledge, he's a pistol permit holder, just like, you know, any citizen in Wyoming County that wants to be a pistol permit holder. He has the
Yeah.
same license.
The position would have nothing to do with
Yeah.
that.
Can you say what he said when he called 911?
Cannot.
How many shots were fired?
Yet to be determined.
Can you comment on the relationship the defendant had with the force, having not been part of the force for the last number of years? What was his relationship like? Did he have a clean history?
We haven't had much contact with him, you know, in 5 years. There are members of the agency that have come across him, you know, over the years, and we haven't had any issues.
No record of any kind?
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
Have you been in contact with the town supervisor about his role as a councilman? I mean, is there anything you can speak to about that?
Yes, the town supervisor was notified last night.
How long had you been a town council person for?
I don't know that.
I don't know that either.
Any prior altercations to the house? Have police been there before for anything?
Not that we're aware of.
Because he's such a prominent community member with the town board, also the fire department, does that change anything about how you handle this investigation, the level of transparency needed?
We're committed to following this through the court proceedings. This investigation, it won't end even in the days to come. This investigation will last weeks, if not months, and we're committed to doing the right thing and doing the right thing by the victim.
We're gonna treat him like anybody else. He will receive no special treatment. He won't receive any more, as you say in your words, transparency than anybody else. My office, as well as the sheriff, are bound by the rules of, you know, ethics, and what we can, you know, talk about and not talk about, whether it's him or anybody else. I know that because it's, you know, the media likes to talk about what people do for a living, and that's like, I don't know, good press, but professions don't commit crimes, people do. And that's been my policy for a long time, that, you know, focus on the person, not the profession.
What were the circumstances of his resignation in 2013?
As far as I know, just retirement.
He just resigned, lack of a better term, going to full retirement.
Sheriff, he has been gone for 5 years, but to her question and to your point about his job, there is still a question as to whether any of the investigators who are touching this case worked with him or know him personally. Can you say that they don't? Have you examined that at all to make sure that it's completely?
We have examined that. We've had those conversations both internally and externally with the district attorney, and we are more than confident that this investigation will be done thoroughly, professionally, and to the nth degree.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, do
Yep.
we know anything about the victim, other than he's 32 and from Gary?
I personally do not know much about him, and we will be looking a lot into that as the days go on.
Did he work for him, or why was he there? I mean, did he work for him?
We don't know that, you know, developing the, you know, the timeline and backtracking is what we're working on today.
Were there any evidence of a struggle that took place?
I really don't wanna comment on that, because I don't know 100%. So I just soon not comment on that, not speculate.
Is that an active farm?
Yes.
Yes. At this point, it's more like a gentleman's farm. There's, you know, some cattle there. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of animals there.
Did Mylniec ever face any kind of serious issues while he was out in the force in terms of any punishment of any kind, any kind of?
Not that we're aware of. Of course, that's going to be another aspect of the investigation.
Is this the first contact you've had with the victim of this crime? You've run into him before?
We've had other contacts with him.
Are you able to tell us about the nature of those?
Not at this time. We haven't even. He was in our system. That's all I can tell you. As far as what kind of contacts and those types of things, we're not ready to talk about that yet.
And it also doesn't mean that there was a prior criminal history. I mean,
Right.
contacts could be, you know, I need my car needs locked out, and I need, you know, that all goes in the system. So it's a very general statement. I don't want you to read into that. All right, I really appreciate you coming, and we'll stick around if anybody has any individual questions. We'll send out the press release as well as the copy of the photo, so you have it in digital format, because I know some of you like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys don't plan on giving more updates today, right?
No.
No.